Welcome back to part two of the interview that I did with Amelia Ilo from Rooted Farmers. I hope you've listened to part one that gives you a background of the platform and who can use the platform and what is Rooted Farmers. If not, go back and listen to that. But this is part two where Amelia is going to start screen sharing with us and take us behind the scenes into the back end of Rooted. And we're going to actually look at some of my farm's things on Rooted as well. And so if you ever wondered the nitty gritty of how Rooted Farmers works, you should watch this and it will tell you about it. Before we get started, I do want to let you know there is a coupon code for my viewers. If you are interested in joining Rooted Farmers and you're returning or new, you can use this for either tier. There's an essentials tier and a pro tier. That code is cap sensitive, all caps. Abundant Blooms 26. You will actually hear in this interview they say it's Abundant Blooms 25. That is because we recorded this in September of 2025 and we ended up not releasing it until January of 26, and the code changes every year based on the year. So Abundant Blooms 26 is the correct code. Very briefly, if you don't know me, I'm Ruth Ann from Abundant Blooms Flower Farm in Dora, Michigan. I sell almost exclusively to florists. I use Rooted Farmers as a platform to send out my availability, track my analytics. It's a really powerful tool. And I got a lot of questions about it. And Amelia graciously offered to do this interview with me and do this recording with me and show you guys all about it. So I really appreciate her taking the time to do that. Just like I say in this, I actually learned something going through this with Amelia, and I learned something every single time I talk to Amelia, like, oh, I didn't realize the platform could do that. Oh, that's really helpful. I didn't know it could do that. Even after using the platform for 6 years, I'm still learning things about it, and it truly has helped me scale my business, keep organized. I don't have other software for bookkeeping because this does it all for me. And so I find it really helpful. She's going to talk in-depth analytics, the pricing tool, which is unique to Rooted Farmers and something I use all the time, very helpful. She's going to explain the pricing and fees of the platform and then just show you the back end of how everything works. So without further ado, here's the interview with Amelia and myself, again, that we recorded in September. Enjoy. Can you take us behind the scenes into
Yeah,
Rooted and show us the platform, maybe starting with how to apply and then going
sure.
into the system?
So this is just our homepage. So you would just go to navigate to rootedfarmers.com. And you would see up here, it would say sign in or sign up. If you're not already a member, you see it says my account because I'm already logged in. But if you would like to apply, I mean, you can learn more certainly on any of these pages. But if you'd like to go in and create an account and apply to join as either a buyer or a seller, you would just go into the sign up button that shows up there. And it's going to ask you to set up a username and password. And once you set up a username and password, and that's just your email address and whatever password feels like it is memorable for you, it prompts you into this next page where you're deciding, am I buying? So I'm shopping in the marketplace, or am I trying to sell in the marketplace? And so this is a little choose your own adventure. And if we're selling in the marketplace, then you're choosing, are you a farm or are you a hub? And then from there, you're just clicking through to kind of share context about your business. And so we serve a lot of different types of producers, obviously. And here we'll just select flowers because I think that's what probably most of your audience is focused on. And it's just going to ask you some basic information about your business and contact information and things like that. So you're really just kind of giving us context for how to evaluate, are you prepared to step into this? So we allow folks to sell both wholesale and retail. But in order to join the network, you really need to have wholesale experience because that's where the bulk of I think the vetting really needs to happen is kind of, are you prepared to step into this network of folks who are really, have those kind of elevated expectations. And so that's why we're asking you a lot of these different questions. So once you submit that application, it comes to us, our team. Again, we're all farmers, so our team of producers is all evaluating those, both on the buyer side and the seller side every day, and we try to turn them around within a couple of days. And that's generally our response time. It can be a little bit longer in the sort of spring months when we get inundated. But you can always send us an email if you have questions. Just help@rootedfarmers.com and we're there.
Yes, I get fast
Questions I missed
responses
there.
from your team usually when
What's that?
I get fast responses when I email.
Good. Yeah, we try to get back to people pretty quickly. We just understand that this is we don't always have time to wait for answers, so we just try to get back as quickly as we can.
Yep.
Cool. Do you want to take a look at the buyer side? Should we start here?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we can go
Yeah.
through the buyer side.
Okay. So this is what it looks like to shop. So if you're a wholesale buyer, or if you're a retail buyer, this is a pretend version of our website. So we're kind of in this funny test world with lots of pretend products. So we can click around and place orders without actually buying anything. But sometimes the data look a little funny. So I'll just call that out here. So generally we see folks shop in a few different ways here. Some of them just like to scroll. Some of them like to really filter and use all these filters that we have on the side here, and then others like to shop by like color palette, for example. So we'll just put together a fun color palette here. Choose some blush. Okay. And so this is what it looks like to your buyers. And so they can see who the farm is there. They can see what the options are for order fulfillment. So they can either pick up this product or they can get it delivered. Um, I think one of the places where we saw a lot of potential sales getting dropped in other systems was where we weren't communicating effectively. So, really making sure that we're communicating effectively about our products and giving the buyers enough information to make a decision, to understand the pricing, all of that is really crucial here. So we try to get everything in here. They can blow up photos. I don't know if that's the right photo for that one, but this is our pretend site. So they do this. They're very visual shoppers, and they like to see the images that you have for your product. They don't want to see stock images. They really want to see what the product is that you have, not what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, so the photos in there are all from the farm. So like all my
Yep.
photos are photos that I've taken of my products from my farm.
Yep.
That's how mine looks, or that's
Yep.
how everybody's looks. Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of feedback from buyers on that. They don't want stock photography.
Yeah.
They really want your photos because your zinnias might not look like my zinnias, and they
Mhm.
want to be able to see the difference so that they can kind of make a decision there. We do have resources on our blog to kind of teach you how to photograph your flowers. And so we've partnered with a photographer who's a good friend of mine and talked through sort of how do you differentiate between product photography, which is what this is, and maybe landscape photography, like a pretty picture that might look pretty on Instagram, isn't always the same thing as what you want to be using to highlight your products here. You know, this is a
Mhm.
different kind of photo. So those are free to everybody. They're on our blog. You can just type in photography on the blog to search for that article, and that can be really helpful for you.
Mhm.
Um, you can add product to your cart here, so you're choosing from whatever fulfillment options are available from the seller. So, like as a grower, you're deciding this. We're not deciding for you. You decide what are your options here. So, for pickup or for delivery, and then you can choose and you just add it to your cart. The buyer has an hour to check out where the product is reserved for them. And that's something that's really important to the buyer. We can talk more about that if it's helpful later, but that 1 hour period is really important to them. And then they can just keep going through and ordering, filtering and searching in whatever ways feel like they make sense for that buyer. Um, Questions on the buyer side?
No, yeah, I think that's kind of I think that's good because I think more of
Okay.
it is in um the seller side, like what it looks
Okay.
like for you as
Yeah.
a farmer. I think
So we'll
that's
just peek quickly at the cart. So here it looks like this pretend grower has an order minimum that we haven't reached yet. So I wouldn't be able to check out here unless I added more product to my cart. I could also, once I'm ready to, I can add a note. I can format the note. And yeah, that's kind of the buyer side in a nutshell. They can always go back in and view their own orders. Everything's here for reference for them. So even after stuff has been closed out, they've got a record of all of their orders. They have their own analytics. Yeah, everything's in here for them. So now we're in a pretend farm and we're looking at the grower side. So this is the view that you have, Ruth Ann, when you're
Mhm.
looking as your farm. And we're just kind of here filtering down to see just what's active. So we manage all of our products as kind of active or archived. You can always delete things, but generally, we're not going to sell things only once. We're going to kind of have like multiple weeks where we have something, multiple seasons where we have something, and so we don't lose the data. So you could just archive your listings and hide them. So if we wanted to do that, we would just archive them right here. So
Mhm.
we could just turn it to archived and then it's hidden, or we can make it active again. So it's just an easy way for, again, one more place for you to streamline, make it super simple, super fast for you to update your inventory.
So then when something is archived, the buyers cannot see it.
Yep,
Again, makes it
correct.
clearer for them
Yep.
so they're not seeing all
Yep.
the out of season stuff. Yeah.
And so you don't have to see it too. Like when
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to run through my updates every week really quickly, I don't have hours and hours, right? I want to
hmm
make it so that everywhere I'm able to, it's just quick, it's
Yeah.
streamlined.
Yeah.
And
For
so
sure.
I don't want to look at more listings than I really need to here. So I'm only going to look at what I might have in season right now.
hmm
And
Yeah.
that just allows me to like, I'm usually on my phone in my fields, walking through and saying, yep, I have 10 of these, 8 of these, 15 of these. And I can just really quickly update only the stuff that I know I'm actively selling.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
And
when I
then
have
when
a new
something
thing
comes
like,
back in.
oh, my whatever, Azuratum is
Yep.
blooming. Oh yeah. So then I type it
Yep.
in, change it from
Yep.
archive to active, and then it'll pull up in my active listing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very, very easy.
Yeah. All of our sedum came on today. So I just uploaded all of that and pulled it right back from archive listings and added that back in. So
Yep.
yeah, it's meant to be really quick for you. Um, you can bulk update your inventory dates. So I can either select the page or all of the products that match. So if it's on multiple pages, I could do all of it. And then you're just updating the dates and you're like, okay, I'm going to have this for, the next 2 weeks or the next 1 week, whatever that looks like. Update. Now I'm done. And that's the end of that process. It's really quick. And again, it's just kind of eliminating all of that time that I might have spent kind of uploading stuff to a Google Sheet and managing that inventory somewhere else or changing things in a Shopify. It's just really quick here. And so now it's alive. It's live, not alive. It's live to buyers. And so just instantaneously it's out there for them. And so they can just shop in real time if they happen to be, or you can notify them. You have a button here we'll look at later too. But yeah, it's all instant.
Can you walk us through? Yeah, that's great, and I use that all the time. Could you just show us how to add a new product? Like just how quick is
Sure. Yep. So you have this orange create product button. You would just go in, click on that. You're choosing what is the category of product. So we'll just choose cut flowers. And so cut flowers we think of as like single variety bunches. So like, 5 or 10 stems of a specific thing as opposed to like bouquets or a bulk bucket of something. But cut flowers are kind of the most popular product to list. You would just type in what you're trying to list and you'd pull up, one of these options. We'll choose Benaries, and then you're running through kind of some of these product attributes that are really helpful. So you're picking what's the primary color. If it's by color, I would just throw it into the description. Can just pull in all of this. We list by the stem. So we price by the stem, but list by the bunch. So that just helps buyers to understand kind of the base price of any given product that they're looking at. So if they're having to think about, round numbers. They really prefer to shop in bunches of 5 or 10 stems. It's easy math for them, and then they can just multiply that so that they can kind of manage their own ordering. So they're multiplying it by that stem price. We do require stem length because buyers insist. That is something they really need to know. So you can't really list your price without sharing what the stem length is because it's one of the biggest drivers to price is stem length. So your first cut anemones might be 5 inches long. It doesn't mean that they have no value, but they probably shouldn't be priced the same as your 12-inch stems, right? So, but really key for a buyer to know the difference. Like you'd want to be really clear. These are first cuts. They're 5-inch stems versus, these are third cuts and they're really lengthening now. So that stem length is required. You have other options here. You don't have to use them. And then this is where you would be pulling in photos from your image library. You can update your availability here. You don't have to. So if we've got a lot of folks who will join in the winter and want to create a whole bunch of listings, but not set availability or quantities yet. So you can just come back to that when you're ready to actually sell that product.
Yeah, it's pretty quick and easy. And then you guys have done a really good job getting like the exact specific cultivars, which really helps you in your analytics, which we'll take a look at later. But and then if you don't have a certain cultivar because which has happened to me multiple times, like either it's a new cultivar or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
they're pretty fast with that too. Like I just
Yeah.
sent
So
in
right
a
here,
couple. Hmm.
just shoot
Yeah.
us a note and we'll get that in for you. As long as it's a real flower
Yeah.
and as long as it's legal to sell, we will put that into the database.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had an issue. And I just did it a couple.
Yeah.
I just did it. I can't even remember what flower it was, and they were really fast, and
Yeah.
that's helpful for me so that I know exactly which cultivar is selling. And you can be more general, like you just chose Zinnia Benary's Giant, but you could
Yep.
choose Zinnia, Benary's Giant
Wine. Yeah.
wine. Yeah, like
Yeah.
like you could be really specific, and I
Yep.
found the more specific you can be putting it in, just the more
Yep.
helpful it is kind of for you down the road. But anyway, you guys are really fast at adding new cultivars, but there are, oh man,
Yeah.
lots and lots and lots.
There are lots. It is super helpful. I think you're calling out a really good point, which is that our insights, our data insights as growers is only going to be as useful as what we put into the system as a listing. So, like if I just called everything I sold as Zinnia, I wouldn't really know the difference in my analytics, which we'll look at in a minute. But if I really break out, then it helps me to make crop planning decisions too. So, like there was a year where we got to the end of the season and I hated Oklahoma zinnias. Like I hated them so much. I hated harvesting them. I hated everything about them. And I was like, I'm never growing these again. And I opened up my analytics and guess what was my number one top selling flower for the year? And I was like, no. So I think it can be really helpful and it can help you to make objective decisions around your business that I think sometimes um, we just we don't always internalize the data in the same quantities and reliability that we would by just kind of reviewing our analytics at the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And then like the colors too, like, oh,
Yep.
the purple zinnias didn't sell, but I sold lots of whatever red ones or something.
Yeah. Let's just pull up analytics now. So
Perfect. But it's
these are pretend data, so they look kind of wonky. But you've got everything here. And so I guess really important is these are automatic. You don't have to do anything for this to be generated except process your sales, right? As soon as you've called an order complete and you've been like, yep, buyers paid for this, we're calling it done, then you generate all of these data. And so you've got kind of this overall snapshot of your business and kind of the health of your business and, kind of high level, what do your order volumes look like? What do your, dollar volumes look like? You can compare them. So like you've got really quick comparison tools. You can compare it to the previous year. So like I could make custom dates. I could just add this on and compare to a previous year, and we can kind of see differences and That can help us to generate insights also. And then you can hop over to your sales reports, which is looking at your sales by buyer and really kind of understanding what are your sales looking like. You can sort them in a whole bunch of different ways. You can pull up your flower sales. So like this is where we were talking about the value of like kind of being granular in your data. As if you're being really specific about how you're listing things, you just have a lot more valuable information here in what you're able to kind of understand. So about your business and about your crops later. So we can look at just this year. We can compare it to the previous year. So if we want to look at like what were my top 10 sellers, and you can do more or fewer, but what were my top 10 sellers this year versus last year? And that's helpful, right? Like
Oh yeah.
this is a way for us to kind of get a very quick read on what did well this year, what did well last year, what were some of the decisions that I made as a business owner to like kind of lead to that? Are there things that happened outside of my control that I want to be thinking about planning for? I can do the same thing in colors. So this is all going to be a function of how you listed that product.
Hmm.
So you can drill down into this. So you can see like what did I sell that was yellow? And so you can drill right down into that and look at what are the actual products that sold that were that color. But again, it's all automated.
Hmm.
So we don't have to do anything for this to just all appear for us, and really give us pretty granular information about, maybe I want to invest more in marigolds here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
really
I
example
feel
them.
like I look at this all the time. Like I look at it all through the season, and then in the winter I really really analyze it. And obviously like things like if you had a crop failure with snapdragons this
Yeah.
year, and so last year, oh look, I sold a lot more snaps last year. Well, that makes sense because I
Yeah.
had a failure in that, right? But you can
Yep.
see the potential is there or whatever, or
Yep.
like, okay, I sold everyone. I don't know. I go into these analytics all the time. Um, I use yeah, like the
Yeah.
reports, um the flowers, I just look at them all the time. I think they're
Yep.
so useful and helpful because then everything breaks down. So you can look at, okay, you sold hydrangeas. Well, which hydrangeas did you sell? Anyway, I
Totally.
just think it's really, really, really helpful. And it allows you to make good, evidence-based business decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And anywhere we can arm ourselves with data about our businesses and kind of de-risk decisions that we're making, especially if you're, kind of moving into like investing in a new crop, something like peonies or hydrangeas, something that's just like a higher cash outlay to invest in them. Anywhere you can kind of fill in information gaps with what have I been selling? Where do I feel like I might have missing kind of layers here? How do I want to adjust for next year? This is all arming you with information to just make a more sound decision about your business.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, and then this is all pulling from all the, like you said, all the exact information that you put in there as far as color or exactly
Yep.
what cultivar it is, and all of that stuff
Yeah.
automatically pulls into all these analytics, and it's just really, really solid. And you guys didn't start with this. Uh,
No.
this was you've had it for a couple of years, but my first 1 or 2 years, there weren't analytics.
Yep.
And I remember when they came out, and so I just can kind of remember back to when I didn't have them. And then you're
Yep.
like, well, how many, sunflowers did I sell? Well, I mean, you could figure that information out if you went into
Yeah.
every single order.
Yeah.
But so it's not like the information wasn't there, but boy,
Yep.
this is like, instantaneous, gives you all that information.
Yeah, and we've been adding to them every year.
Yeah,
So
yes.
like all the comparison tools are new this year, which is
Yep.
really fun. We do have a bunch of pro tools. So anywhere you see this badge here, that's for folks who are pro subscribers. All these other analytics, like everything we've looked at so far, these are all for everybody. So no matter which tier you join as, you have everything that we've already been looking at. We do have these other kind of charts and insights that are available if you're on a Pro plan. Again, these data look a little funny just because they're in our test environment, but you can look at your sales by segment. So if you're thinking about wholesale versus retail, and you can drill down into them to say, like, gosh, what was actually selling retail in April of 2025? And you just click into it, and it's going to give you a list of like specifically which products sold to that channel in that period. And so it's all, again, automated for you.
Mhm.
You can look at ordering time of day. So, like, when are folks placing their orders with you? Products by category, the type of sales that you're making. So, whether it's like a pre-order, or whether they're products that are being added to existing orders or point of sale orders. And again, you can just drill into like, wow, this is a really surprising month. Let me see what actually was moving in that kind of, I don't know what I just clicked on, but maybe it was a point of sale in like April, and it's going to give you all of that detail. And then it'll give you all the detail of like, what was the product? Show me who the, buyer was. How much did they spend? How many stems? So if you really need to filter granularly, you've got all those tools right here. Filtering by business types, you can pull up, whatever the business groupings are that are there. Um, yeah, just a really powerful set of tools that are also very simple for us to use as growers.
Yeah, yeah, and I do use some of those pro analytics, but I'm also only really selling in one capacity. Like I'm not
Yep.
really selling retail. I'm just selling wholesale. So I would say
Yep.
like I have a pro tier membership, and I have ever since that was an option.
Yep.
But I would say the analytics that come with
Yep.
um, the the
Essentials.
essential, thank you,
Yeah. Yep.
tier are really where the bulk of your information is going to be, and those are really, really helpful.
Yeah.
At least if you're selling um, in one sales channel.
Yep.
That's what I found. Those are the ones I use the most.
I can pull up while we're kind of talking about some of the pro tools. I can just pull up the pricing tool if you want to talk
Oh
about that.
yeah, yeah. Let's talk.
I'm gonna
So
do
that
that.
is that's a pro feature, right?
Yep, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the pricing tool. I think this is really, really helpful. And I've talked to a lot of people about pricing, and I'm a member of the ASCFG, and they have a pricing, they don't have a pricing tool, but they have some pricing information. But anyway, as far as I know, there's nothing in the cut flower world like the Rooted Farmer pricing tool.
Yeah. There isn't. It is the only tool of its kind. I think we uh, we are very fortunate to have a very large data set of, the market prices that products are selling for across the country. And so, I think one of the questions that we asked early on was, how do we turn this into a tool that's useful for growers, that's useful for our members, right? And so I think what we tried to do is listen to all of these questions that you're getting, that everyone's getting about pricing, that's kind of like indicative of this sort of lack of visibility that we as growers have into market pricing on these products, right? Like it's just sort of a how is this done? What is it moving for? How do I kind of make sure I'm pricing within the range that my neighbors are? What are all the different kinds of questions that we're getting about pricing? What drives pricing on these types of products? And so we said, okay, well, let's build a tool. And we worked with some ag economists who really specialize in visualizing data for audiences like us, and we put together a tool that would allow you to kind of get insight into just visibility into the market pricing of different products. And so we're looking now at this Coral Fountains Amaranth. And so this is your real account, Ruth Ann,
Yeah.
right? Like this
Yep.
is
That's my farm. Yep.
this is your farm, this is your product, and this is real life. We're not in our test environment anymore. And so you've priced your amaranth at $1.10 a stem, and it's in the 16 to 24-inch stem length. And so we're just going to peek at the rooted range tool. And so we're going to open this up. and click this, and it is going to open like this. So this is kind of an aggregate view of all years, where we're seeing, across all the years of data, what does the pricing look like? And so what does the sort of bottom quartile and the top quartile and the median look like on this? And what are the main drivers of price here? And so here we can see stem diameter. So like really, really thick stems are just tough for florists to work with. And so if you have like a tree trunk on your amaranth, it should be priced a lot lower because that makes it really difficult for a florist to work with. So stem diameter is a driver for amaranth. Stem length is a driver for amaranth. And so, obviously the longer the stem, the more value it has because it's more flexibly used in arrangements by designers. And if you only have, a 4-inch stem on something, doesn't mean that it has no value. It's just like very limited. Like that can probably only go into a bud vase or a boutonniere or something. Like it's just a very small product, so you can't be flexible in how you use it. So stem length is often a proxy for pricing.
Yeah.
We also have the cut and the bloom size here. And so you're going to see here kind of all those factors, and then you'll see any notes that make sense for this. So stem length and diameter can vary greatly by use case here. Bouquet stems typically fall between 18 and 24 inches, and large scale products are 36 inches. So that's all context for what we're looking at here in terms of the data. And so now we can kind of see how has that median evolved over time? What does it look like? So here in 2025, most sales are in this kind of $1.20 to $1.50 range. And here, it was $1.25 to $2 were most sales in 2024. And so pricing is changing over the course of time, and that's expected. And that's something that's helpful to us as a grower is I can kind of get a sense for how have things shifted over time. What are they kind of looking like this year versus last year? What does my product look like on all of these fronts? And where do I feel like my product? Because Rooted's never ever going to tell you how to price your product. We just want to give you visibility into what the market pricing looks like and
Mhm.
the tools for you to start thinking and reflecting and saying like, yeah, maybe I'm on like really short stem length, or gosh, actually, these are really huge blooms. And so I think these really make sense to be priced, at X. And that's up to you.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting. I don't know that I've actually like looked at that amaranth. Maybe I should increase the price on that.
But that's up to you, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it
But
could
look,
be that you're having conversations with your florists and they're saying, this is really where we feel like makes sense because there's no substitute for that feedback. Is,
right, right.
understanding what's happening broadly is important. Understanding your local market and conversations with your buyers and where they feel like your pricing is relative to kind of their expectations is also really important. So don't
Right.
don't discount that.
Yeah, and you and I were speaking offline about Smoke Bush. Like yeah, the pricing tool is going to show you everything, which if you want to, Smoke Bush is on there. You can scroll down to my Smoke
Yeah,
Bush.
yeah,
Um, and Smoke Bushes, so you can see I have two different
yep.
prices there. I have two different stem
You've got
lengths.
the
I have,
16 to 18 inches here,
yep, and I
and then
have,
you've got the 36 inches.
yep, and they're different prices. I mean, there's a decent difference in price there between those two different things. And then you can see the pricing tool showing you, the different things. So it's not, so I'm pricing it according to the stem length and different things. And then you and I were speaking too. If you have smoke on your smoke bush, that's
Yeah.
even more valuable. I don't
Yep.
have any with smoke, so that's almost like a different product, but it's also smoke bush. So
Yep.
it's same cultivar. So yes, within that pricing tool, it's not just like oh, I can turn my brain off and just
Right.
follow this
Yep.
thing. You're still having to make an understanding critically about your
Yep.
specific product, market, like where are you located in the country? What does that look like?
Yep.
And the different nuances with each specific product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
For sure.
it's just
And this is one that can be really variable in stem length. Like you can have, shorter stems and you can have like huge trees that you're selling. So seeing that sort of range here, up to $5 a stem is good to see and
and it
helpful
makes
because
sense.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for smoke bush. I know, like for me, I'm like, okay, you can't be taller than, how much you fit in
Yeah.
my Suburban.
Yeah.
Like, I just like
Yep.
there's a point where makes it very, very difficult to sell anything taller than that
Totally.
for me. So, and then
Totally.
so you should be paying for more, they should be more expensive because they have a lot more handling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep.
anyway, that's just an example of the smoke bush.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's see.
Do you want to take a look at orders? We can look
Yeah,
at
let's look at orders and then look at pulling like the harvest list and pick list briefly.
Great. Okay. So we're back in our pretend version of the site. This gives you kind of just a quick snapshot of your orders. You also have that on your dashboard. So you have this kind of quick snapshot of your most recent orders, anything that might be past due, payments that are past due. So you've got all that on your dashboard. One thing I should call out here is this weekly Q&A session. So we have weekly Zoom calls, and it's every Tuesday at noon Eastern for 30 minutes. Someone from our team is always on there, and we're just there for answering questions. So, like if you have tech support questions, if you have, kind of you've forgotten how to do something specific and you want to just kind of walk through, or if you need like a tutorial video and you don't know where to find it, we do have our FAQ section here under resources, but you can also just come to this weekly Q&A session if it's not like super urgent. You want to wait for Tuesday and just chat with us, you can do that too. So you can just join right here is the
Perfect. Yeah, I've utilized that many a time
link.
in my car making deliveries.
It's fun for us because we get to chat with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
we enjoy that.
we've met there several a time.
Yeah. Yep. Um, cool. So this is your orders page. Again, it can be as simple as you want it to be. It can be as powerful as you need it to be. See, if you just want to kind of have a quick lens onto your open orders, you can kind of scroll through there. If you want to filter your orders in any way, you can, filter by date. You can filter by, what is the fulfillment method? Like if show me all my delivery orders for this week. You can do that. If you want to filter to a specific buyer, you can do that. If you are selling through a hub and also directly, you can filter in that way. So it's pretty flexible for you. All your open orders, canceled orders, point of sale orders, past due, like all of these filters are here for you. And so you can kind of view anything and archive anything that you need to right from here. You can create an invoice for your buyers. So anybody that you're connected to or creating guest invoices, that can all happen right from here. Point of sale, same thing. So I know you were mentioning earlier that you were doing everything by hand and trying to transcribe before we had point of sale. We do have point of sale options here. So you can kind of have flexibility there, but just go in, create, your invoice. You can pull up, you sell wholesale versus retail. This is all going to be a reflection of any markups that you have in your store settings. So we didn't talk about it too much, but you can kind of segment out. Wholesale is sort of your base pricing, and that's what that pricing tool is really based off of.
Mhm.
Retail, you can apply a markup, and so you're able to say, well, I'll sell straight bunches to retail customers, but I'm going to mark them up 25% or whatever that looks like. Or bouquets, we will sell grocery bouquets and then we mark them up 100% for retail customers. So the same product, and we're going to have different types of markups there. So if you were to create a retail invoice, it's just automatically pulling in those retail prices. You're choosing your fulfillment types, and then once you create it, it's just kind of you adding product to the order, and it works similarly to just editing your orders that are existing.
Yeah, it's very easy to create orders and do it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Um, this is an existing order. So anywhere you see a pencil icon, you can make changes. And it's going to store those changes so that you and your buyers can see them. So, like,
Mhm.
if you were to, you've got order messaging here. If you were to get a message from your buyer that said, "Hey, I ordered one bunch of basil, but actually I need three. Can you add more?" The buyer isn't able to edit the order themselves, but you can. So you can say, "Yep, I'll add two more bunches." It gives you the option to decrement your inventory or not. I'll say yes. And then I'm adding the three. And you can see that sort of change log
Mhm.
here and over here too. And then everybody's on the same page because so much of the like burden of managing these sales is trying to remember what did I do? What did I do 2 weeks ago when they asked me like why was that price different from what they thought it was going to be? And so you've got all the resources you need here to keep track of internal notes, messaging your buyers. This is going to automatically remind you you changed this. You went from one and you see that strike through to three. Or if you needed to change the price because you got your dahlias and you looked at them and you were like, actually, I'm gonna actually mark these down to 220 because I feel like they aren't quite the bloom size I thought they were gonna be. And you can update that and it'll show you those changes. So everything's right there. And then you've got these pencil icons. You can make changes up here. You can flag orders, change payment methods. And then whenever you're ready, you process the payment. So we don't process that payment for you. We're not deciding when the order is finished, has been fulfilled. All of that is on you. You're deciding when to run the payment for that buyer.
Yeah,
Anything?
one thing that's really helpful in this is that buyers can make you a trusted seller
Mhm.
as a farm. I know it's a little, maybe a little bit detailed, but that is really helpful because I do have florists that order more in advance than what I put on Rooted, and they'll send me an email, and then I put in sort of they realize it's a fluid thing, and it
Yep.
might be more of like a wish list, and but I can put that all in the system, and then their card is automatically connected to it. So whenever
Yeah.
that order is fulfilled, it just is really easy for everybody. It's really easy
Yeah.
for them. It's really easy for me. And then I can change that, order however
Yeah.
you need to,
Yeah.
like you were just showing.
Yep. Yeah, and everybody's on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not having to go back and like scroll through lots of texts or direct messages on Instagram to like find where was that place you asked me to change this order because it's all just right here.
Yeah, and they can just send you a message right through here. And when a message comes through, you get an email saying you have a message from so and so, and you
Yep.
can reply. It just keeps everything in one place. Or when I do get those emails,
Yeah.
I just immediately go into Rooted, and then they can see that I put the order in, and they can
Yep.
message changes.
Yeah.
So it just really keeps everything in the same place. Because yeah,
Yep.
otherwise you are like, yeah, was that in a text message or a
Yeah.
DM or an email?
And all of that takes time. And I
No.
think something we don't always do as farmers is recognize all the places that we're spending our time where we maybe shouldn't be spending our time,
Yeah,
right? Like
sure.
then if you added up all of the minutes and hours that you're spending kind of going back and forth on all these different types of communications, that's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then are you going to show us how to pull a that I just feel
Yeah.
like it's going right into like, yeah,
Yeah,
pulling.
we can pull up the harvest list. So you have got a few different options. So you can, just say, I want to select only these orders, or again, filter to a specific
Mhm.
set of orders, and then you can create a new list. So I will just say, this was one of the first like really cool tools that we built years and years ago. But before we built this, I was keeping track of all of my like to harvest on Post-its. I'm a big fan of Post-its and like, but I would keep track of all of the things I needed to harvest on Post-its, and I would have like my muddy, wet hands out in the field and Post-its would blow away and then I'd forget what I needed to cut. And so we invented this like harvest list tool years and years ago. And as soon as I ran it the first time, I just like started crying immediately because I was like, this saves me so many hours of frustration every week. So we
Yeah.
just selected those orders and we're just going to click harvest list. If you wanted a pack list, you could, but I'm going to choose harvest list here. And so I've got lots of different options about how to view this. It works on mobile. I use this on mobile. And you can just kind of run through and say, yep, I pulled all of these, or no, I don't have this extra ageratum. I'm going to go into the order and remove it. Um, you can group things by buyer. You can show photos or not show photos. You can show the orders, show the summary of the orders, any notes that might show up on the orders. Um, you can print all of your labels here. So this interfaces, you can see I've got the Avery shortcut here, but this interfaces with Avery, so you just can export your labels. And this saves loads of time every week because we sleeve everything in paper sleeves and then we just stick a label on, really clear who's the buyer, what's the product, what's the price, like all the things. And so you can print your labels right from the harvest list. You can print the harvest list. You've got lots of different options here of the things you can include in your print view. And I wish we could take credit for all of this. We can't. All of these tools here are the product of feedback from our members, where the members are saying, here's how I think about the harvest process. Here's how I really need to see information on these pages. Can we make these changes?
Hmm.
So this is really a product of all of their feedback now.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel like you guys have really um sought feedback and definitely made changes every year. And I know
Yeah.
there's some more changes in the pipes,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
pipeline.
Try to
To
keep it
improve
interesting.
it. Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, I use that all the time. Pull my
Yep.
lists. I like to print them, and
Yep.
but I also use them on my phone also. Yeah.
I also like to print them. I feel like this year in particular, I've been even shorter on time. So I'm just like quickly running through on my phone as I'm out there cutting things. But it works both ways and you can track. So, like, if you're on a mobile device, you can just check off what you've cut. So if you are harvesting and then you step away and you need to come back, the list will save, your harvest status will save. It'll show you this is only partially harvested. So, like, you can come in and see your harvest status on any of these and open them up and then go back in and keep cutting. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it works
See,
really nice.
I never utilized that. I've never even realized that. I just said this earlier. Every
Yeah.
time I talk to Amelia, I always learn something.
Well, it's again, it's as simple as you want it to be, and it's also as powerful as you need it to be,
Yeah.
right? Like, so
Yeah,
it really
that's really
can
great.
scale with you if you're kind of operating in like sort of a smaller scale, smaller operation, and it can also really meet your needs if you're, a pretty good size operation with
Yeah.
a team and really needing to meet those needs too.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I feel like now might be a good time to talk about so one of the things that people say to me is rooted is very expensive and like it's not, yeah, it's too expensive for them. And so I mean, I've always used it. I feel like all those things that we've talked about, it saves me time, it connects me with buyers, it gives me all these powerful analytics that allow me to make decisions about my farm. So for me, it's just like 100% worth it. And but if you don't know that or understand the power of it or how it's going to help you, then
Yep.
maybe you would feel like it's expensive. But could we go over the pricing and talk about what that includes?
Yeah, we can definitely go over the pricing. I think we try to price in a very intentional way so that one, our financial incentives are aligned with your financial incentives. So we only make money when you make money. And that's really important because if you were to be joining and we only had like a really steep subscription model, so you had to pay, $3,000 to join. I think some of our competitors have like a pretty steep upfront cost to joining as a subscriber. It doesn't really matter if you sell anything to that company, right? If as
Mm.
long as you've paid that initial subscription fee. And We just don't view that as kind of a healthy relationship for ongoing building of both of our businesses. We really try to align ourselves with you. So when you're growing, we're growing. If you're not growing, we're not growing either. And so we want to be in it with you. And so that's why we've really built ourselves on a transaction fee model, is to say, if you don't if you don't sell anything, you're not really out anything, right? Like there is a subscription fee. It's pretty nominal. You have a coupon code, and we can give that out at the end of this too. The coupon code is going to give you a discount whether you join the Essentials or the Pro tier. But again, it's really designed to scale with you, so that you're not out a whole bunch of money before you really figure out, is this right for me? Is this working for me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's definitely last year I was kind of or maybe it was 2 summers ago, was really when I was ramping up and I just was like, man, I've got to change some systems here on my end as far as it was really in the like harvesting pack list, picking and packing orders and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I could just use the tools that were already in rooted to grow with me. And it really wasn't that difficult to make the change
Yep.
and just using the things that were already there make my life more streamlined and simple. It was just a matter of like, oh, I need this. Okay, now's the time to utilize this next step here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I
and I
think
didn't have to pay anything,
you don't, yeah,
extra. It was already all there.
it's already
Yeah.
there. It's already there. And I think the beauty of how we've built the system and how we continue to iterate on the system is that we're really intentionally building it in a way that it helps you to scale your own business,
Mhm.
because we do better also when you do better, right?
Yeah.
So, seeing those numbers that we talked about earlier on, where we're looking at 92% of our sellers are selling a whole lot more product when they join Rooted. So you're already making up for the cost of the
Right.
platform just by selling more. Even if you weren't selling more and you're selling the same amount and you're working fewer hours, you've already made back that cost again, too, right? Because you've
Right.
got all these labor hours freed up.
Hmm.
So all these things you used to spend labor hours on are no longer there. You no longer have to spend 8 hours a week. You can do the math on what that labor is. So if you're paying yourself, $20, $25, whatever you're paying yourself an hour or your team members an hour, multiply times 8 hours in a week, that's the average
Yeah.
labor savings
Yeah.
in a week. And then
So,
you're also growing your network. So, like, all of these places are designed so that you come out on top, and we're incentivized to keep helping you come out on top,
yeah.
stepping into this arrangement.
So just to break it down, I'm pretty sure Rooted is 5% of your sales, and then there's a credit card handling fee that goes through Stripe. And so, I mean, I have some people that pay me cash, so then obviously that's you're not paying that credit card fee.
Yeah.
So, right, is that right? 5% and then 2.79
2.9% plus 30 cents is the Stripe fee,
for the Stripe fee. Yeah.
which is a standard credit card fee.
Yeah.
And if you choose not to run orders on credit cards, you can do that on Rooted. So you can
Hmm.
run things as off platforms like cash, check, Venmo, whatever other system you're using to facilitate payment. And you can still keep all your orders in one place, and you can manage that kind of third party payment, whatever that is,
Hmm.
separately. ACH, we use ACH with grocery buyers. So like whatever makes sense for your business for receiving payment. If you choose to use credit cards, it's the 2.9% plus 30 cents for Stripe. If you don't go with credit cards, and all of this is on our website too,
Hmm.
under the pricing page. If you don't, then you avoid that Stripe fee. And we don't avoid the Stripe fees, and so we still have that, but it's 5.5% all in is the off platform. So instead of five for Rooted, it's 5.5%, and then we just pay the Stripe fees.
Yeah, yep. And then the tiers are the essentials is subscription is 150, is that right?
You're putting me on the spot.
I know, I was just
I think it's actually 169
Oh, okay.
is the essentials. 168 is the essentials.
Okay.
And
And
then the
then the
pro tier is 369. But
369.
again, you've got your coupon code.
Yeah. And then what is that coupon code? It's
It is Abundant Blooms 25, I think.
yeah.
All caps. And so it is case sensitive, so you'll want to make sure you use all capital letters there. Abundant Blooms 25. And that's for $75 off either subscription type.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Thanks so much for that. So think
I
about,
think the one thing we may have
oh,
skipped
what
is
did we
actually
miss?
the wholesale buyers page. So this is the buyer page.
Oh,
We
yeah,
are
yeah. Okay.
managing, this
No,
is
we
where
didn't
we
talk about
manage
it.
all of,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is where we manage all of our wholesale buyers. And so you can keep everybody turned on, everybody turned off at the same time. You can disable all your buyers. You can enable everyone. So this is basically the equivalent of like opening up your storefront and saying, yep, ordering's open. If there's like one particular person who's maybe like not someone you want to work with right now for whatever reason, you can turn them off completely so they just can't order from you and keep ordering on for everybody else. So super flexible. You can manage all of their fulfillment options custom if you want, in bulk if you want. It's up to you. You can view all of your connections. I don't know what this will look like in our test environment here, but we can pull up a map of all of our connections. So yeah, this is bad in the test environment because they're not close to each other. But you can get a view of like where your buyers net out to, and are there opportunities for you to rethink how you're looking at delivery zones, and you can just kind of visualize everybody there at once. You can invite new buyers to join the platform here, so it just sends them a formatted email. You can also notify your buyers when your store is open. So you can send a message to all of your existing connections. It'll show you if you have ordering turned off. So you remember that one buyer we turned it off for, and I can select to send to only my enabled buyers and avoid that person who's turned off for right now, or to everybody. And that's up to you. And again, you can just customize that message.
Yeah,
Um,
that's helpful.
what else? Oh, you're nearby, so you have a find buyers option. I don't know what this will show because it's our pretend environment, but then you can just kind of connect with folks near you if you feel like it makes sense. Don't spam everybody. If they're not real like connections that you're going to be kind of cultivating and building, then I would not just hit connect on all those buttons because buyers will notice and they really value those relationships. So if you're not really going to build those, then wait to hit the connect button. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that,
do that. I don't connect with everybody. There's like a
yeah,
ton of them in
yeah,
there. I
yeah,
just can't
just
connect with
manage.
everybody at the
Yeah,
time. So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I think that's
I
pretty much
think,
everything.
yeah, I think that gives
We
us a
probably missed
taste of
stuff. And if
all
anybody
the
watching has questions, you can feel free to shoot us an email. Check out our website. We've got a lot of helpful demo videos and screenshots and lots of context in there that can be really useful as you're kind of thinking through, does this feel like it makes sense for me?
yeah. Well, before we like close this out, I was wondering, as a farmer and speaking to farmers, if you could leave us with like if there was one piece of advice that you'd like to give to other farmers, what would you tell us?
I feel like um, it's September right now. So I think we're all sort of Septembering in our hearts right now. So I feel like just remembering to kind of give yourself grace for wherever you are in the process. I think your audience, you probably have folks who are just getting started, all the way up to like we've been doing this for a while and now want to really kind of scale to, who knows where. And no matter where you are on that journey, I would just say, to sort of take stock and recognize how far you've already come. And this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And it's really important to be making decisions for yourself and for your farm that kind of honor that fact that it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And you need to be really thinking about the long game
Mm.
and not sort of lots of little pivots all within the same first season. Like you just want to be thoughtful about how the decisions you're making can set you up for success, whatever success looks like for you over the long run.
Yeah, I love that, setting yourself up for the long run. I always try and remind myself of that, right? Because you're like, okay, well, what is really going to help me in the long run?
Yeah.
Whether that's a crop or a buyer or, sales
Yeah.
outlet, or yeah, that definitely goes across lots of avenues. So, well, thank you so much, Amelia. I really appreciate that
You.
you were willing to come on and do this, and it's just so helpful. And I know you and I have chatted over the years, and so it's fun to be
Yeah.
at this point and to be able to share this here as well. So thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate you giving a channel to all of these important discussions that you're stepping into, and we just love watching what you're doing also. So
Thanks so much. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, that is the end. That is the end of the interview with Amelia. I really hope that you enjoyed that. And if you have questions, let me know. You can always reach out to Rooted Farmers, help at rootedfarmers.com, I think is their email. They're very helpful in responding to you and answering questions like nitty-gritty things about the platform. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and that this is helpful for explaining what it is and for my farm. Again, I am not affiliated with Rooted. I am not being paid to do this interview. They just graciously agreed to do this to help my audience. And so I really appreciate that. Just really appreciate Amelia and all the wisdom that she shared in this, and I have looked up to her in a lot of ways in my flower farming journey, and I think it's really neat that we were able to connect and do this. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video and you haven't seen part one yet, I highly recommend that you check out part one of my interview with Amelia. It's definitely not my typical content as far as like how it's formulated, so it's definitely more like a podcast. I just would recommend that you listen to it and do other, bee seed starting or planting your ranunculus, or I don't know, preparing for the coming snow. So I hope you're having a great day and getting some rest also this winter. See you next time.